What is the most important thing you did differently this time than what happened during Katrina?
Well, obviously, we learned from the Katrina experience, and we put some changes in place, whether it was relating to bus services. The whole evacuation process was retooled. But more importantly, this time around, we had the resources from the federal government, from state government, from us, all coordinated, and we executed pretty well.
Let's talk about the shelters. I know this time, Mayor Nagin, there were no shelters within city limits.
Yes.
Why was it important not to have shelters within city limits this time?
Well, it's part of the learning from Katrina. We just felt it's better to evacuate everyone from the city of New Orleans during any storm that's a Category 3 or above. We don't feel comfortable that we can house people in the city during one of these events.
And you all had people go to hotels. You didn't do that this time.
Another lesson learned. No vertical evacuations to hotels or high-rise businesses or buildings in the area. Everybody get out of town, and then when we can bring you back, come on back.
And your words were harsh. You said any looters are going to go straight to Angola, which is a state penitentiary, yes. Which general lockup, which means no good treatment,
it's not
probably.
a good place. Not a good place. But if you remember, the looting last time with Katrina started out with people just needing food. They're urban dwellers. They don't have a cupboard full of food. So that started, and then the opportunists took over. This time we're not tolerating any looting. If you're on the streets, you're going to be arrested, and you're going to go to the big house.
And you haven't really had a problem with that so far.
We've caught one looter, and that was this morning. As we speak, he's handcuffed and on a bus awaiting to go to Angola.
So you mean business?
We are not playing around with looters this time around. I think this is an opportunity for us, for redemption, if you will, to show the public, to show the world that we can do this evacuation better than anybody.
You have a lot more law enforcement on the street this time too, both federal, National Guardsmen and women. Police officers. Don't you have a lot more law enforcement?
We had, prior to the storm, Katrina, we had 1,700 officers. We lost about 400. Now we have 1,500 officers plus 1,500 or 1,600 National Guard. We have almost double the amount of law enforcement that we had with Katrina.
How were you able to get the homeless population to safety? Because that's a big problem here in New Orleans.
Well, fortunately, before the storm, we got some help from the federal government. We got, I think, $70 million in some permanent supportive vouchers, and we were able to take care of a lot of the homeless before the storm. Now, the ones that were on the street, they were part of our evacuation process, and they are probably now in shelters.
20% of the hurricane construction has been completed. 1/5.
Yes.
What's taking so long?
I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but the Corps of Engineers says this is complicated. This is hundreds of miles of levees. That's probably the thing that I worry about a lot. As a matter of fact, there's a storm that's passing us right now. The west bank of the city is the area that is the least protected, and that where we're waiting to see if the storm surge is going to penetrate it.
What about, Mayor Nagin, just retooling the entire levee system, which is very stressed? Miles and miles of really poorly constructed levees,
yes.
As you know, from the 1960s. So why not just start over and build a brand new system?
Well, in a lot of respects, they did that. Any area that was breached, it's been fortified. They have a different type of construction. It's armored, anything you can think of. So they are doing that. It's just there's so many miles of levees that they just couldn't complete it all. Now, I do think they could work faster, and that's what we're going to talk to the President and Congress about.
So, because it's not going to be completed till 2011, right?
2011 for most of the main protection. But this is going to be a construction project that's probably going to go on for a number of years.
How can you urge people to move back to New Orleans, Mr. Mayor, if you can't really ensure their safety with so many of these compromised levees?
Well, the interesting thing about Gustav is that now that we've gone through it, the levees have been tested, they've been stressed, and now we will demonstrate to people, which I thought, the east bank of New Orleans is in very good shape, and there's no problems. The west bank still needs a lot of work. So people can move back.
What's the difference in the federal response this go round? Is it night and day?
Well,
I mean, I remember you pleading with the government on that radio interview.
Let me be fair and then get to where you're trying to go. I have had so much so many offers of help from the president himself to Secretary Chertoff to FEMA, people I didn't even know about, to Nancy Pelosi called from Japan yesterday. So everybody's really focused on this. This is now on everybody's radar screen. But there's also a presidential election going on. And there was a little party this week. And Gustav kind of rained on that party a little bit. So I think everyone wants to get this right, particularly the Republican Party.
Yeah, and is that a totally nonpartisan answer?
Well, I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but there's an enhanced sensitivity to this response that I have never seen, and it's working great for us. Now, I hope it continues.
So you think it's politically motivated?
I think they're concerned about the safety of our citizens, but I think the overriding theme of a presidential election is definitely in play here.